Hey there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're in Granada, Spain. We have the Alhambra right behind us. Today we're going to talk about our 5 things that tourists love and, well, let's just say don't like so much when it comes to visiting Spain. And I'm going to go into the kind of negative things first and talk about the first thing that tourists hate when they come here to Spain. And this is one thing that our fans have brought up in numerous conversations with me over the years about things that just get them. It's just the little tourist annoyances when they come here. For example, if you want to go see the Alhambra, make sure you're booking your tickets weeks, months in advance in the summertime because it books out. You want to see the Sagrada Familia, you got to pre-book for that. There's a lot of pre-booking little annoyances that tourists just don't like. Like, I can't just show up. No, unfortunately, you can't. You need to pre-book. That's one of the things they've done very well here is to make sure that you're not overrun with tourists in location. So it's actually a good thing that you get upset about. But some of the other tourist annoyances are like the pickpockets and scams you see in some of the major cities and major tourist sites. You know, you're going to La Rambla in Barcelona or in the El Born neighborhood or Barrio Gótico. You have all those like pickpockets around there that really are just can ruin someone's trip, or maybe in some of the major places in Costa del Sol, you have to pay attention to that. Or if you're places like here in Granada or Sevilla or Cordoba, you have the people that are coming up trying to give you rosemary and they're saying it's a gift, and you're like, I don't really want it, but like, it's a gift, it's for free. And then they give it to you, you take it, and they want money. And it's just those little kind of small travel annoyances are what people really don't like about coming to Spain. And honestly, there's not a lot really not to like about coming here. And that's why, I'm starting with the one thing that really has been brought up a lot of times. But let's go to some other parts of Spain to talk about the loves. So now we're here overlooking Cordoba. You got the Mosquito over here. You got the Roman Bridge behind me. This is one of my favorite places, if not my favorite place that I love the most coming to here in Spain. And that's why I think it's a good place. We start off with our first love of coming to Spain, and that is tapas and just the tapa culture in general. Think about it. Where else can you get 4 plates of food and people think it's normal? Like, if I go to a normal restaurant anywhere around the world and order 4 plates of food, they're like, no wonder you're so fat. Is there something wrong? What's going on? Here, they're like, oh yeah, you want some croquetas? Sure. Jamón ibérico? Sure, have the ham. Oh, you want a tortilla? Sure, we have that. Oh, you want some patatas bravas? Sure, no big deal. Like, you get to experiment so many great foods when you're here through the tapas, and they're just little plates, so you can stack and see if you like it, if you want to have a big ración, a big plate of it. But the little small things, those tapa versions let you experiment with the food, and it's so fun. But the food part, it's cool because you see the culture with the food, because you do have different tapas, different parts of the country. Like, pinchos up in the Basque country where it's bread and there's meat or cheese or seafood on top. Or if you're in, you go down to Sevilla and you have the solomillo al whiskey, which is like a little cooked up, like little pork tenderloin with this whiskey oil sauce. It's so good. Or you go to Galicia and have pimientos de padrón, the peppers that are from there. There's so many different like regional ones, but there's ones that go all over the place, like the croquetas and patatas bravas. Oh, it's just so tasty and so delicious. But what's really great about it is if you're going to a tapas bar or restaurant or just having tapas in general, that's one of the best times to actually meet locals when you're here in Spain, because people are sitting out, they're having a drink. Maybe they have a tinto de verano, or we're here in Cordoba and they're having a 50-50, it's like half sweet wine, half vino. They're sitting back, relaxing and talking, and nobody is pressuring you to do anything. So it's like the greatest way just to relax. Sit back, kick back, have a drink, have a snack. And you know what? When you're in Spain, you're going to talk to the person next to you at the next table. You're going to have a chat here and there. And the tapas bars give you that opportunity. So it's like a way to like really enjoy the culture, really enjoy the food, and really relax when you're here. And that's what I love about it. It's just the food, the relaxation, and the fun of just sitting back and enjoying the tapas culture when you're here. So don't pass up tapas when you are here, okay? I want to tell you that. But also, don't pass up a chance to talk to locals when you're sitting there, because it's not just tourists that are sitting down enjoying tapas. It's the locals as well. And speaking of those locals, I guess I need to mention something that you might not like. And the second kind of maybe hate or dislike that tourists have when they come to Spain is kind of the Spanish concept of time. Think about it. If they eat late, it's no big deal. You arrive late to meet with your friends, it's no big deal. Having dinner at 8 or 9 o'clock starting time, no big deal. You have a different concept of time when you're here in Spain. Things take a bit longer sometimes, and sometimes tourists get really upset. They're like, oh, what's taking so long? Why is the service so slow? What's going on? Look, it just takes time to make these things. You just gotta relax, man. Chill out, calm, everything will be all right. But for some tourists, that gets very frustrating. And sometimes they take it out, when they think about like the siesta. Look, when people talk about siesta, they're not doing it's not like they close the door of the shop, put their hat down and take a nap. It doesn't work that way. They're out doing other things. Or if you're like you're in Sevilla and Cordoba in the summertime, when it's incredibly hot, the sun is beating down on you, you need to get out of the sun. You need to go relax from 2 to 4 because it's so hot and so uncomfortable. You need to get away from it. But tourists get frustrated. I want to do my shopping from 2 to 4. I want to do this. Well, they're going and having their lunch. Remember, lunches are later here, eating is later here. That's that time, kind of fits up. I mean, you have a lunch break at your job, don't you? Well, let them have theirs. But I do know that timing thing does get some tourists. I know, if you're coming from a culture where dinner is like 5 or 6 at night, and when you realize that restaurants actually close their kitchens from 3 p.m. to 7 or 8 p.m. at night, those people that like to eat at 5 or 6, they're kind of upset. And so I know, like my dad, he's very much the 5 p.m. dinner kind of guy. Well, again, let's go back to that tapas things, because one of the best things about those tapas, they're available all day long. So when the kitchen is closed, you can't get like the Iberian pork, which is so good. You can still get some patatas bravas or croquetas to get through the day. But yeah, the Spanish concept of time, that is one thing I've seen that some tourists get a little bit annoyed with. So now we're here in Sevilla, the actual place I filmed the original 5 Love and Hates of Spain. And yes, it's been a while since we made that video. And I think the second thing you're gonna love about coming to Spain are just the crazy, friendly, hospitable, outgoing Spaniards. I mean, you can't help but love them because they will try to feed you until you pop. Más croquetas? Más croquetas? Más croquetas? And you're like, please stop, I don't want that. I want to eat more, but I can't eat any more. And they'll just be like, it's okay, you can have some more. Hey, why don't you come out and drink with us? Why don't you come out to the square, the plaza, and have some tapas with us? Why don't you come to the beach with us? I mean, the people here are so incredibly friendly. Even with all the tourists that come here, they're great. And that's one thing I love about coming here, because it doesn't matter if you're in Catalonia, it doesn't matter if you're in the Basque Country, it doesn't matter if you're here in Andalusia, or if you're in Galicia or in the capital. I mean, Spaniards are just so much dang fun to be around. That's why, I've taught all around the world, and whenever there's exchange students in the class, everybody always wants to be friends with the Spanish ones because they know they're gonna have a good time with them, because dang it, the Spaniards are awesome. And sadly, that awesome Spaniard you want to hang out with and be with also leads into something you're gonna hate about coming to Spain: your lack of Spanish knowledge. Now, I'm not saying their lack of English knowledge, because we're in Spain. Like, you should know the local language or some of it. But one thing you need to realize is foreign language teaching in schools here, yes, people have it in school, but it's not reinforced very well. And so a lot of locals, even younger people, either don't speak English or they don't speak it well enough or confident enough. So that can make kind of like a barrier between you and the locals. And that's why you'll be mad at yourself that you don't remember some more of your high school Spanish or your college Spanish so you can use it here. And you're like, dang it, I'd have even better time with the locals if I remembered it. But in all seriousness, not knowing Spanish won't ruin your trip here, but it will make things a little bit more difficult, whether it's ordering food, whether it's going, getting tickets for things, or kind of figuring out what's going on, if there's any issues. Like, that can be an issue just because of lack of overall English. It's here, but honestly, you'll be fine. You'll figure it out, because the Spaniards will make sure that they communicate things to you, and it'll work out just fine. But maybe do review that old Spanish textbook you have in the back of your parents' closet before you come. Now, to a more serious, dislike, because let's be honest, you don't really hate anything about Spain, is actually, I would say, the weather in terms of the summer heat and the surprising coldness you can have in the winter here in Spain. Because I've come to Spain every month of the year, and I still remember the first time I was in Avila in January. I was cold as cold can be. I'm like, I thought Spain was warm all the time. What's going on here? No, people, you have mountains here, so higher elevation. You have those plains, you have cold weather in the winter that you get surprised. You're like, oh no, I'm not gonna have my wonderful beach vacation all year round. No, you're not. Even the Canary Islands aren't very warm in the wintertime. You're probably not gonna wanna celebrate Christmas on the beach when it's like 17 degrees Celsius. It's just not a thing. Unless you're from Scandinavia, then you might like the beach then. But it is something to consider when you're looking at your vacation here. Make sure you're checking that 10-day forecast to see if it's wintertime, would you maybe need something more than just, your t-shirts and summer wear. But honestly, in terms of the weather thing you're gonna hate, it is the heat in the summer. I'm talking July, August. Here in Sevilla, you understand why people take siestas, because it's so hot, you don't wanna do anything. You don't even wanna move. You don't even wanna breathe. You're just like, help me. And the thing is, you can't even escape it in some places, because not all the hotels, not all the Airbnbs have air conditioning. So it might be hoping for a breeze to come in during the night, or hoping for a breeze underneath a patio somewhere. So when it is middle of the day, it is that 2 to 4 siesta time and things are closing down, I do recommend you find a place to sit, relax, have some Tito de Verano, have some tapas, and get out of the sun, because you don't just get sunburn, you can get heat stroke, you can just get dehydrated. It can be unsafe, and that's something you're not gonna really like. So do be safe with the summer heat here, because as much as you love it being so warm and everything, it might be too hot for you. Like, we were here before and it was over 40 degrees Celsius. I'm here in May and it's 34 degrees, just like, oh, it was a cool day yesterday and now we're at 34 and it's going to get a lot hotter. So just a heads up. And I'll be honest with you, that heat can be pretty bad any time of the year. I came from Sevilla to Cordoba and it dropped 20 degrees, all right? Because I really felt like I was melting when I was filming. Yeah, and speaking of the melting from the heat, also, heads up with the melting heat that comes from the chocolate with your churros and chocolate, because it's like melted chocolate, so it retains heat. So like it can really burn you or your kid's mouth if you drink it too fast. That's why it's for the dipping of the churros, not of the chugging of the chocolate, okay? So see, you could melt from the heat outside, but you also can melt from the heat like in your mouth with that chocolate, all right? So going on, let's go back to the loves, okay? The third thing you're gonna love about coming to Spain is just all the different tourist activities you can do when you're here. Think about it. I'm here in Cordoba. See that? I can go to the Mezquita right there. It's a cathedral built inside of a mosque. I can walk on the Roman Bridge and carry the thing. I have so much history I can go see. I can go to the Alhambra in Granada. I can go see the cathedral and the Alcazar in Sevilla. You can see so many great historical things here in Spain that could be a true historical vacation. But also, it can be a fun time. You want to hit the beach? Yeah, you can go to the beach, the Costa del Sol, Costa Brava, all around the country. It's cover the beaches on lots of parts, right? You could enjoy a beach vacation here, party in Barcelona, party in Madrid. I mean, you have great nightlife. So no matter what you want to do, you have a lot you can do. You want to go religious things? Heck, you can do the Camino de Santiago and trek across Spain, getting to the cathedral in Santiago de Compostela. I mean, it's an incredible experience going there when you see the people walking with their sticks, and sometimes people have their donkeys with them, and the huts that are there to help people doing the Camino. I mean, there's just so many great things to do when you're here. You want to bring your kids from the beaches to activities, Isla Mágica in Sevilla. It's an amusement park you can go to. There's just so many different things for people to enjoy when you're in Spain that it really can be something for everybody. That's why millions of people come to Spain every year, because there's so much for everybody. You can have stuff for grandma. Grandma wants the history. You can have stuff for the kids, Isla Mágica and the beaches. You can have stuff for the wife. The shopping here, Spanish people have fantastic style. And the shoes are amazing. So you can do shopping here. It's all kinds of stuff you're gonna love. And that's why I really love coming here, for all the things you can do, okay? And what's cool with that is all these things you can do here, that number 3 leads into the number 4 love you have. And that's, you don't have to bust your budget when you come to Spain, but you don't feel bad when you do come here. Because sometimes when you travel, you go to places and things are so cheap, you feel kind of uncomfortable. Like, man, I just had a dinner for our family of 4 for $5. Like, I feel like I should give more back. I really feel that Spain is probably the most fairly priced destination in Europe for people to go to. So when you go out to eat, like I can take my family of 4 out to eat at a nice meal and not worry about not paying my mortgage, right? I can go out with my friends, we can go out for drinks, and I'm not worried that my wife's gonna be upset that I spent, the grocery money. I mean, you have these really fair prices, so you can enjoy the food. You can enjoy those tapas, you can enjoy those drinks, you can go to the sites, the museums, you could go to the parks and enjoy things, and you're not like busting your budget, but also you feel that, hey, that's a fair price. It's a good price, but it's a fair price. So you don't feel like you're ripping the locals off, because like I said before, you're gonna love the people. They're fantastic when you're here. And when you can get all this fantastic people with fair prices on accommodation, tours, transportation, the trains, all the kinds of stuff, it really makes it a wonderful place to visit. That's why I love coming here so much. And sadly, that leads into like one of the negatives, because it has all those great things to do and it has all those fair prices. And that's one of the things that sometimes our loves lead into hates, because with all those great things you can do here, and the affordable accommodation and the affordable sites and the fun you can have and the friendly people and the great weather most of the time, people flock to Spain. This is one of the most visited countries in the world, not just in Europe, but in the world. I mean, people love coming here with the people and all kinds of stuff. So what you're not gonna like, that 5th hate you're gonna hate about coming here, is just all the tourists that come that are being bad. Not tourists in general. There's a lot of great tourists when we're here. You can have a great time. You'll meet friends from other travelers here. There's a lot of great tourists here. Not everybody's a bad tourist. That's one thing I don't like when people say, oh, all tourists are bad. No. The only tourists that you're gonna hate are the ones that are bad. you're in the Canary Islands or in your Mallorca or Costa del Sol, the ones that have too much to drink, you know, the bachelor parties in Barcelona that are getting a little bit too frisky, those kind of things you won't like. Or when you're walking the streets in Cordoba or Sevilla, when they're really the small streets and people are shoving you by, or the tour groups where the tour leader just is like, I don't care about any other tourists in the city. The only thing that matters is my tour group, and they like shove through and you can't get through things, and it gets really packed. And when you're during the festival times and it's so many tourists and all the locals, it gets a little overwhelming sometimes. But the thing is, it really frustrates people and that upsets them. But what's interesting about Spain is that when you do get kind of the overrun by the tourism or by the tourists, there's a lot of ways to get away from it all. Like those historic streets where you're getting all smushed up, like, I can't deal with all these people. You go a couple of blocks off, it's completely empty. Here in Cordoba, you go from the tight streets, you know, by the cathedral, and you come off a bit, there's a wall, you're on the outside of the wall, you're like, wait, I have a big boulevard here. There's a park for me to get away from. You can get away from those bad tourists when you're here, but you still have to deal with them sometimes. And if you're coming from a place that typically has bad tourists, that will reflect probably in your care at different places here. So do be aware of that, okay? So it's not all the tourists that you're not gonna like, it's just certain tourists, you know? And you know, and because all the tourists that are there, you know, you have the pickpockets and the scams and take this little sprig of herbs, it's good luck, it's a gift, and then they're like, give me money, like these kind of things that come with all the tourists that come here, all right? And then let's finish off with a positive. One thing I really love about Spain is they make this place ready for you, but not just for you, but for the locals as well. The infrastructure here in Spain for tourism is outstanding. From accommodation options to food options to all the stuff I talked about before with things to do, they've done a really good job to make it that not just locals can understand it, but tourists can as well. So if you're coming here in accommodation and you're in your 20s, you're going to university, you want to go to your buddies, there's accommodation for you. There's transportation for you. If you want to spend up a little bit and bring your family on your trip to Spain to see your family heritage, they have places for that as well. You want tours that are specific, like for Game of Thrones to, I want to know about the Moorish history of Andalusia, they have that. I mean, the tourism infrastructure is outstanding. And what's cool is even if your Spanish isn't so good, they're so good at what they do with the tourism that it won't affect your time here if you don't speak Spanish, because the infrastructure is set up with signs that are in Spanish and French and English, you know, and then they do a great job. Like you go to some of the museums, you go to some of the sites, you can just download the audio guide. You can download the map in your language, in multiple languages. And they do all these things. I mean, it helps out tourists to really enjoy the country. And I think Spain doesn't get a good enough reputation for all that they do for the tourists that come here, because millions come here and nobody realizes that, yeah, it's one of the most visited countries in the world, but you never really notice it. Like when you go to France, you feel there's tourists everywhere. When you go to Italy, you feel like there's tourists everywhere. But here, Spanish tourism infrastructure helps everybody integrate better. So you can sit and have tapas with the local and go to the fair for the city and go do all these things in a way that really helps you enjoy Spanish culture, enjoy Spanish people, and just love your time here. So that tourism infrastructure, that's the fifth thing that I love about coming here as a tourist, because it gets it set up for you to enjoy everything you can about Spain. So I hope this helps you know some of our 5 love and hates, or things we see that tourists love and hate about coming to Spain. What are things that you love and hate about coming to Spain? I mean, aside from the sunburn and the hangovers the next day from too much Cruz Campo beer. Let us know in the comments below, and have a great time here in Spain. Bye from Cordoba.